everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I have Andrea Lopes here.
Hi.
Yes, she is the founder of Flourish Wellness Center.
Flourish Counseling and Wellness Center.
Counseling and Wellness. She's also the president of Holistic Chamber of Commerce. Andrea believes in the mind, body, spirit connection and is passionate about educating the community about various holistic modalities. So welcome, Andrea. It's so great to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. So I always like to just get right into it and ask, how have you really paired logic and holistic principles together in order to achieve the level of success by opening your own wellness center?
Well, I think what I would have to say is that I've had about 25 years of doing mental health work in the community, and using when you refer to logic, you mean kind of
cognitive, maybe.
Right.
So logic being like our left side of the brain, so mathematics.
Right. So traditionally, that's how kind of I was trained, doing cognitive behavioral therapy work, and I found it to be very effective in some ways, but I would often have clients say to me, I get it cognitively, I get it, I understand it, but I'm not able to make that shift. I'm not able to make that change, or whatever it is. I'm not able to let this anxiety go, let this addiction go, whatever it is. I'm not able to internalize and really make this change. And I started to really look into various holistic modalities. I started doing some energy work, emotional freedom technique, started looking into yoga, meditation, guided imagery, and nutrition, and all these other things. And I started incorporating that into my work with clients, and I just found it to be so much more effective.
That's awesome.
So just seeing the shift and seeing people really able to incorporate and make some changes and be happier and healthier.
That's wonderful. It's almost like as you're talking, it's people are putting the lotion on, but not taking the vitamin, right? So it's skin deep, and it's not until a little while, maybe a little practice, until they can really feel it and go, wow, I see my life totally different than I did in the past. I viewed, I'm looking at the same things, but I'm viewing it in such different lens. Like I have a new pair of glasses on, and I'm able to see things in a whole new way.
Absolutely. And it really, I use that metaphor often as the different lenses that we see through things. But also, I think what working with the mind and the body together is whenever we experience something difficult, anxiety, any kind of trauma, we experience it physiologically because our amygdala is activated, the cortisol and adrenaline is going through our body, and it stays stuck. So helping people resolve something just by talking through it, it doesn't work because the body remembers everything. So, and then the other piece that you said, like kind of stepping back and seeing things differently, it also takes integration. It's just like starting a habit. You have to do something for a while and integrate it into your life before it's going to work, and that takes time.
Yes.
And it might take teaching somebody or working with them using different modalities, see what's going to work best for them and what they're going to actually be able to go home and use. What I referred to having a big toolbox, and I'd say, well, maybe this tool's going to work for this person, and we try different tools to see what they're going to embrace, what they're going to take home and actually do. Does that make sense?
That's amazing, and actually leads me to my next question. When it comes to picking out a modality, right? I believe you said, and it's a common belief of not all size fits all, right? When it comes to different holistic practices. So how can someone actually find the modality that's right for them for their specific need?
Do you mean how can somebody without getting any support just on their own figure it out?
Or a little bit of both. Maybe it's something very small and acupuncture opens that up in a specific way. Maybe it is feeling through those emotions. Maybe it's childhood drama. What do you think is best for maybe someone at a specific time based on their needs?
Well, what I would do is I always start asking people, what have you done in the past? What's worked? What hasn't worked? And you kind of start with something similar to, well, this helped a little. and then you start to introduce them to different things. You know, some people are automatically, if I talk about, tapping, releasing, and they're going to be like, I'm going to be honest with you, Andrea, I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
And so, okay, or I'm not a meditator, even though I explain to people it's not something that anybody does naturally. But anyway, so you start with what's worked in the past, what's helped in the past, what hasn't. You avoid the things that they're very adamant about. No, I'm never going to try that again, or that's not for me. And then you start to explore within that what works or what has worked, and also what kind of learner are they? Are they a visual? Are they a tactile? Do they, what do they enjoy? Do they enjoy music? Well, then maybe you're going to, talk about some kind of sound therapy or music therapy. Or they hate needles, you're not going to maybe talk about acupuncture, but they love flowers and nature, and so maybe you'll talk about aromatherapy and some other types of things. So you kind of start where they are, what they've tried, what they haven't tried, how they learn, what their style is, and obviously it's also dependent on what the issue is.
Yes.
What would be most appropriate.
That's wonderful. It's almost like you're meeting them halfway in order for them to open up and express really what's been harboring for so long.
Yes.
I love that.
And I love to empower people. Like, most of the times we all have our own answers. And we just need to have somebody asking the right questions and being present and helping us figure it out.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love that. And that goes very deep, because sometimes there's a question that no one's asked me that question before in that way. I've never even thought of that. I've always pushed that door away for so long, not inviting anyone in.
That's so right. I mean, I know even recently I've been asked certain questions that I thought, wow, that was a really good question, and that really helped me. And I think, I'm moving, I've been in a coach training program, and so I'm working to develop I've been doing coaching more than the therapy, and working on the wellness side. And so that big shift of, instead of looking at things as a pathology, as like in therapy, we're looking at what is the issue, what is the diagnosis, Instead, I'm approaching things, which I think I've always done anyway, in terms of looking for people's strengths. We're looking at working with someone to help them find their answers, find their truth, find what works for them, and not putting any kind of limiting beliefs there. If there's no limiting beliefs, who are you? What do you want? What makes you happy? Where do you see yourself? And I love that, because people will sit there and be like, well, I never thought about it because I didn't think it was possible. Well, yeah, it is possible. Why isn't it possible?
You're not sitting right here next to her, but she's just sparking with enthusiasm and empowerment as she's speaking with me, and I just love that.
I love that. My favorite thing is, and I just had a session with a coach friend of mine, Jennifer, if you're watching, Jennifer, who was wonderful. She was doing a purpose exercise with me, finding your purpose.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And we were figuring out that is what I love. I love to help people find that's who they are, who they really are, who they want to be, who they want to show the world. And I get so excited about it, because I've been able to help people do that. And it's like they never thought like some of these things that they're good at are really that big of a deal.
Because it comes so easily for them.
And I'm like,
it's like, this is too easy
that is
for
so
me.
Awesome. I would love to be able to do that. So I do get very passionate. I love working with people in that way.
Do you ever feel like they don't want to pursue their passions, maybe subconsciously, because they don't have that worthiness? They think it's supposed to be hard, right? It's supposed to be hard trying to find my purpose. It's supposed to be hard trying to do this, and it's actually like, no, these are like your inherent gifts for yourself. Yeah. So like, go out and do it. like don't let anything hold you back. Like, whatever's natural for you, you're just going to expand more into that natural ability. And
you know what? That's great that you bring up the worthiness, but it's not. There's several what we call subconscious, or in energy work we call it psychoenergetic reversal. It's something within us that's preventing us from achieving what we want or clearing what we want, because there's this unconscious block. And it can be worthiness, it can be fear, it can be, I can't do it, I don't think I'm capable, I don't think if I do, what will happen? So one of the things I do with being trained in energy work is trying to find out that what is that subconscious belief, that limiting belief that's keeping you. And because sometimes people don't know. They'll be like, oh, I think I deserve it. I'm really worthy. And then we do some muscle testing and it's like, and they're like, oh, okay, I guess I don't. I have to work on clearing that. So
you get into that nitty gritty and the water seems to be like murky.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's flush this water out in order for magic to occur. And I bet you've seen so many different, so much more momentum from people when it takes that different track. That's
and
awesome.
I kind of look at it too, like unpacking. I think we're all born, I take this from Louise Hay, joyous babies. We're not born with feeling like we're not good enough or undeserving. And then as we grow older, every experience we have that's negative with coaches, teachers, parents, whatever, it's like there's brick is going into this backpack, and before you know it, this kid is like this. And we carry that around with us.
Wow.
I mean, so many of us carry that around into adulthood.
Yeah.
And so part of what I do is help them take it out brick by brick. And that's not who you really are. And the people that said that or did that didn't know any better or whatever. So
I love that analogy of just pulling the brick off, because it does feel like a weight that you have to constantly carry, which just produces more stress, more unworthiness, more
and shame.
Shame is a huge one. Shame is a huge one, especially in business. So I want to ask you, really, most of my clients will take the action really without the belief that they can achieve that desired result. So what's one way you change the limiting beliefs in order to achieve that quantum level of success for yourself in business, owning your own business, or being the president of Holistic Chamber of Commerce?
So I was the queen of limiting beliefs. Tons of them. I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not whatever enough. I had them all, you name it. And I literally had to, I guess it was kind of like using the law of attraction before I even knew what it was. I pretended like there was no other option, that this was going to happen. I would start talking about it as if it happened. I remember before I got this house that I'm in, I would always say, I'm going to own a house, it's going to be a healing home, it's going to be a practice, and I would just say it as if it was true. And there was no doubt. And I just moved forward with this belief. I would visualize it, I would say it as if it happened, and I would just keep moving forward through all the fear, because there was tons of fear. There's always been fear.
Yeah.
But so whenever people come to me with these limiting beliefs, it's important that, number one, we identify what the fears are and put them in their place. It's a lot of times it's that bully in your brain telling you something that's not true.
Yeah.
And then really using that law of attraction. I think it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
All those tools of.
So I've seen people even, and I give this metaphor, is almost having, I feel like our mindset, our body, our spirit, and our emotions are all wheels on a vehicle. And if they're all going different directions, the vehicle is not going to move forward. It's not going to move at all, really. So how are you able to be able to set those emotions and set those limiting beliefs, or really just the mind, body, spirit, all going in one direction for that car? And how are you able to teach other people that too?
Well, I wish I could say I can do that all the time, because that's hard. It's a process. I think the main thing that I tell everybody is that being in awareness is so important. Being aware of, and that, I always start with kind of looking at that wheel of life and looking at all those aspects of their life. The relationships, work, career, money, everything, and kind of seeing where they are, and if it's really off balance, we try to balance it a little. But I think it's checking in, setting intentions every morning, just stopping and saying, what do I have today? And what do I need to be aware of today? Well, today is a hard day because this. So as I move through my day, let me be aware of that. What can I do for my body? What can I do for my spirit? What can I do? You know, so I think it's awareness, having rituals in place, having supports in place, having people that accountability partners. Am I answering your question?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
so
And I'm kind of like feeling into that. It's like the awareness and also the acceptance of that.
acceptance.
And I think that's what you're telling us exactly. It's that awareness being, okay, I'm aware that this is happening today. I'm aware that I feel this way. Let me just accept it now and move on with my day.
And if I already say to myself, okay, you know what? I know that today is this is how I'm feeling, and this one person, I'm gonna have to deal with them, and they tend to trigger me. I'm just gonna be aware of that ahead of time. I'm gonna breathe through that interaction. I'm gonna give myself a little extra time, whatever it is, you know. But all of this stuff just takes a lot of practice, patience, and loving yourself enough to give yourself the time to do it.
And that's a big one. Loving yourself enough to give yourself the time. Because no one has time. No one has time in their day. And
I try to stay away from saying that because we do have time.
Exactly.
It's how we choose to spend our time. But many people are very overwhelmed, particularly parents and with kids. And so we have to... The more we say, though, we don't have time, the more we feel we don't have time. And then we are in this sense of overwhelm, which is not helpful.
Yeah.
So kind of taking things as they happen. And I find that when I'm feeling overwhelmed, my initial reaction is to be like, I have too much to do, I can't do this, this. And if I just stop and breathe and just say, one thing at a time, I just feel less overwhelmed, you know. But my natural inclination is to
just kind of go crazy and not really give back to yourself, really feel into the love that you have for yourself. Because you're with yourself your whole entire life more than you're with anyone else.
Right.
And I find that a lot of people want to give back, but they're just not quite sure how. So how do you give back? If it's a busy day, you know you have so much to do with business, you know you have so much to do with maybe picking up the kids, going here, there. Do you practice, okay, stopping and going,
I do.
Let's love me. Let's love Andrea. Let's love Danielle. Let's love anyone out there today. Like, let's love ourselves more right in this moment.
I have little things that I do. And I have things all over my house and in my office. You can see I've got my sage, my crystals, my oils, my affirmation cards. So minimally, I might sit for a few minutes, you know, with incense and listen to a 2-minute meditation. I try to walk now almost every day because that just really helps me. It grounds me. Being out in nature is just something really good for me. So I try to walk. I journal. You know, I just do little things, and sometimes it's just something so simple. Yeah. And and sometimes it doesn't feel like enough, but at least I did something. I stopped and I breathed, did the 3 deep breaths.
Oh, you know? Very necessary.
So, yeah.
And that automatically calms anyone down. It's that.
It really does.
Just taking that time for yourself.
Putting some oil in a diffuser. Just whatever.
And talking about the busyness, what do you really see, like, how do you make that decision of saying yes or no to another passion project, right? Maybe something that interests you, and you go, you know what, I need to say no in this given moment. What is your decision-making criteria in order to say, yes, I really want to do this is something I have time for, I will make time for this, and then, or no, this is just too much on my plate. And by saying no, also not having that FOMO that comes back, that fear of missing out, right?
That is such a great question for me, because I will be honest, and anybody that works with me and knows me, I am the idea person. I love to be involved in so many things, and a lot of people have said that's a fault, that I overextend myself.
Yeah.
And so I've been really trying to work on that. And so recently I've been trying to just ask myself, because, you know, my main goal has to be keeping Flourish doing well. You know, with this, the center has to keep growing, and well, my goal is for it to keep growing, to provide a great service to the community, to have my practitioners doing well. So I have to focus on, is this project going to benefit Flourish, which in turn benefits me, my practitioners, the community. So, you know, that, you know, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at my mission, which is, and why I'm part of the Holistic Chamber of Commerce, is being able to educate people that there are so many ways for health and healing. There's so many ways to be well, and that I want them to know. So that's part of why we're doing things at this farmers market.
Yes.
Stand for Hope, which we'll talk about another day.
Yes.
But so I have to choose based on, you know, I kind of looking at it saying, will this bring value to
your life, value to the community at that given time, and really enrich more people, and by the time it is taking. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that. I love that.
It's hard.
It is extremely, extremely hard, and you're doing a beautiful job with it.
Thanks.
So thank you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
If you want to reach Andrea, her email is alops@flourishcounselingandwellness.com. You can always Google Flourish Counseling and Wellness if you have any questions or just kind of want to know what practices they have and what they offer. Is there anything else you want to add when it comes to...
The only thing I would want to say just to everybody, particularly your generation, because you're my favorite generation to work, population to work with, because you can make changes and you're still young enough to incorporate it. It's just so exciting. Whatever it is, spend the money on yourself to get some help, to support yourself for wellness and prevention. Don't take care of yourself and just figure out what you really want to do. If you are not happy now, find someone who can help you figure out what's going to make you happy. Don't just settle. That would be mine.
Don't settle.
Don't settle.
Wow.
You don't have to.
And I've heard from previous generations, you know what, you're not going to get anything better, so you just do it, and it's like,
No.
Yeah.
You take risks. I've taken a lot of risks. I mean, you know, I didn't do things to get the job and have the insurance and the retirement and all that, but you got to do what feeds your soul. So.
Or else there's nothing left. Well, thank you so much, Andrea. It's
Thank
such
you.
a pleasure having
Thanks
you
for
today.
having me.
And
I love what you're doing for your community.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That means so much. Thank you, guys. Andrea's also going to be attached to this video, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon.